Hey everyone! The 4th of July is in a few days, so I thought I'd put together a quick and easy Independence Day themed drawstring backpack. Of course, not all of you watching are from the United States, but you could still totally make this bag and decorate it however you'd like. So let's get started. You'll need some heavy fabric, such as denim or canvas. I used an old pair of jeans. Fabric for the inside. 2 pieces of rope cut to about 5 to 6 foot each, big safety pins, matching thread, a sewing machine, scissors, a marker, 2 grommets with the grommet setter and a hammer, and for optional decoration, a sponge, a marker, and paint. Cut 2 pieces of denim to 14 by 17 inches. Pin them together along the sides, right sides touching, and sew, leaving 1 1/4 inch open at the top. Open the seam, pin it flat, and sew about 1/8 of an inch in. Make sure you don't accidentally sew up the other side of the bag while you're doing this. Repeat on the other side. Pin along the bottom and sew it up. I doubled up the seam because I thought it would make it stronger, but I don't think it's really that necessary. Flip inside out and set aside. Cut 2 pieces of the inner fabric to 14 by 17 inches, pin along the sides and the bottom, right sides touching, and sew, leaving a few inches open at the bottom. Stuff the outside of the bag into the inner fabric bag, like so. You want the right sides to be touching. Pin along the top edge, and sew. Through the hole in the bottom of the inner fabric, flip the bag inside out. Pin the hole closed and sew. You can hand stitch it here so it's not an obvious seam, but since it's going to be on the inside of the bag and no one's going to see it, and I like to take shortcuts, I just used the sewing machine and sewed up the whole bottom edge. You should have a little opening on the outside side of the bag, like this, on each side. Now sew a stitch about 1/8 of an inch around the top edge. Sew another 1/2 inch down from the previous stitch. To reinforce the corners that you will be putting the grommets, sew each corner into a triangle shape, like so. Position the grommets in the middle of the triangles and use a marker or chalk to mark where it is. Cut a small hole on that mark. You want it to be big enough to just barely be able to stick the grommet in. If it's too big, the grommet can fall out. Stick the longer side of the grommet through one of the holes. Place the other half of it on the other side and use the grommet setting tools with the hammer to set the grommet. Repeat on the other side. Now time for the finishing touch, the rope. I cut mine a little bit longer than 5 foot. You want it to be longer than you think you need, so you can try the bag on and adjust it to the exact length that you want, and then cut the excess off. If you're using nylon rope like me, you can burn the ends with the flame of a candle so that the ends won't fray. Take one of the pieces of rope, fold it in half, and on one side of the bag, thread each end through each hole. If you're having trouble threading the rope, attach a safety pin to the end and use that to help pull it through. Once you have both ends through to the other side, make sure they're even and pull all the way so the loop side is completely inside the casing. Take the other piece of rope, fold it in half, and on the side of the bag where the ropes are sticking out, thread the ends through each hole. Once they're through, make them even and pull all the way through like the previous rope. Now take the rope ends on one side and thread them through the grommet on that side. Repeat for the other side. Now you can put it on and test to see how long you want the rope to be. First, pull the ropes until it draws the bag together at the top, and then put it on. Adjust the rope length until you're happy with how the bag sits on your back, and then tie a knot to secure the rope. Then you can just snip off the excess. Again, if you're using a nylon rope, you can melt those ends so they don't fray. I thought I had given myself at least a little bit of extra rope, but the amount that I cut actually ended up being the perfect length, so I didn't have to cut anything off. And now the bag is done. You can go ahead and decorate this however you'd like. Since I'm putting this together specifically for the 4th of July, I decided to go with a star theme. I made a quick little stamp using a sponge. Essentially, I just drew the shape I wanted onto a sponge, which was a star, and I cut it out with scissors, and then I dipped that in some white craft paint and stamped it onto the bag. Unfortunately, I failed to record me stamping the stars on, but here's a reenactment of how it went down. It's pretty straightforward. Just dip the sponge in the paint, making sure that there wasn't too much excess paint on it, and then stamp onto the fabric. Don't press down too hard with the sponge, because too much ink will come out and it'll make it look really blobby. Anyway, if you didn't want to make a 4th of July design on your bag, you could totally do whatever you want. You could even just leave it plain if you really wanted to. So here it is, all complete. I hope you all enjoyed this project. If you did, please leave a like. If you want to see more, then feel free to subscribe. I post DIY videos every Thursday. You can follow me on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, or Pinterest, and I'll leave the information to those down below. If you have any questions or suggestions for future videos, please leave a comment down below, and I'll see you next week.